So,
I would really.
So I thought.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Lotte. Go ahead, Lotte.
I would really appreciate some breathing practices.
Yes. So we'll do some breathing, some what we might call deep resting. So practices that I have found useful at times that can be uncomfortable in life. So when we have a lot of responsibility, when there's a lot of things we have to do, when there's just a feeling of what we might call stress, for whether it's coming from external or from the realities of something our body's going through, there are some particular ways of coming into practice that I found useful. So that'll be sort of how we move into things today. And so often when we come together, we start sort of sitting and focused, and we have a particular way of approaching. But today I wanted to just start by lying down. So lie down or rest. So depending on how your body feels about lying down. So find a reclined position that your body can rest in. And from my side, there's nothing to see. I won't be putting my body in any position. I'll just be guiding you. And I just want to honor the fact that this is a time of transition. As Angela and I were saying, the autumnal equinox, a time of change traditionally. This is a time that has been noted and honored and marked for thousands and thousands and thousands of years by the humans on this planet. So just to take a moment to acknowledge this tradition coming through to us. And I want to come to resting just to give our bodies the opportunity to release and let go. And in this way, offering that action of release a little deeper within us, to the mind as well. So everything we carry in our lives, every situation and circumstance that we live through right now, is on top of the past year and a half of a situation that we've never lived through before. A rolling situation of change on a level we haven't had to live before. So just noticing that the reality of the current moment can shift the baseline that we have to deal with the complex or difficult situations that arise in our life. So when we lie down and let it go, imagine as if you can let it go to the earth. Because when you lie here like this, your energy of your body is at the lowest state possible. You are always connected with the earth, but in this moment, there is complete balance between the forces of the earth holding you safely close and the forces of all of the atoms of the planet and of your home lifting you up at the same time. So in complete balance, you can rest here. So taking a moment just to notice the response of your body to lying down, the response of your nervous system to lying down. There's no right or wrong way to respond to this position. Notice what is real for you. If this lying down in the safety of community, in the safety of your home, if it's a comfortable feeling, or if it's an uncomfortable feeling. And I just want to bring in one of the set of tools of yoga. So right now we're in conversation with the community, reflecting on how we use these tools of yoga to support our lives. So as I speak, if you follow my voice, fine. If this information is useful, fine. Otherwise, just let your mind soften. If you feel distracted or uncomfortable, you can come back to the story of yoga that I'm going to share. Otherwise, just be here, resting in the safety and the comfort of the earth. So one of the ways we practice, we can choose to practice to fix something we perceive to be broken, which is how many of the people who come to me approach the practice of yoga. Almost like the tools of yoga are for repairing something. And so as we consider the possibility that we are not broken, that our body-mind is not only a lifetime project to be repaired, we might find some freedom to see the tools of yoga as tools of creation, of tools to support and carry us through our lives. And one of the strategies, one of the sets of tools that I come back to again and again is a teaching called Kriya Yoga. And this set of practices has three parts. The first is to pay attention. So when we have a habit in our life, it is a way to give ourselves a rest of attention. So a habit doesn't require thought. And these can be very useful to support us through the day. But the opposite of habit is to pay attention, what we might call mindfulness. Because the nature of our lives is change. And if the habits of yesterday no longer serve the present moment, we can make changes. So this practice of mindfulness gives us the freedom to know when to rest in habit and when to find new ways to move as our life changes. The second tool of yoga in the Kriya Yoga tradition is svadhyaya, which literally means go back to yourself. And sometimes in the search for peace, spiritual calmness, one way we can move towards that is moving away from the challenges of in our life. The idea of like a retreat where we go away and it's a little easier to find that sense of peace. And this practice is sort of the opposite of that. We come back to ourselves and reflect upon the gifts that we have already within us. The gifts of our ancestors, the DNA in our bodies, and all of the learned wisdom you've gained through your life. There's a great way to express this from the Bhagavad Gita. Whenever the mind wanders, restless and diffuse, in its search for satisfaction, lead it within. Train your mind to rest in itself. Whenever the mind wanders, restless and diffuse, in its search for satisfaction, lead it within. Train your mind to rest in itself. And if these words feel very relevant to this moment, just know this is a reflection of your own humanity. Words that are ancient, relevant today. This is the human experience. This is why we use these tools. And the last aspect, the last tool of Kriya Yoga is what we might call a quality of humility, solvent of self-importance, to recognize that you are not capable of controlling it all. It's only the ego that makes us feel this way, that it's okay to rest. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to stop, even when there are things to do. So as you lie here, resting between the force of the earth lifting you up and the strength of gravity holding you safely, notice the breath, always changing, moving. And here we don't need to amplify or lengthen the breath, just watch it for a moment. And recognize that even your breath is being taken care of. That the entire atmosphere of the planet moves in to fill the vacuum of your lungs. And your body releases it, offering it back to the entire earth again. Each movement of your diaphragm is a receiving and a giving. And it is an effortless way to exist in this moment. And from this quiet place, I'll ask you to make a choice about how you want to activate your body from here. So staying in the reclined position is perfectly fine. If this position begins to feel heavy, uncomfortable, then it might be more useful to change positions. At first, maybe slowly coming to the hands and knees. But if this position feels nourishing and supportive, then just stay on the back and we will begin the conscious movement of the breath and body just from that position. So if you're on the hands and knees, then just do some gentle chakravakasana, moving back and forth. If you're on the floor and you would like to move in a similar motion, you can maybe bring the knees up towards your belly in the gentle Apanasana movement. So knees toward you as you exhale, hands on the knees, and knees away. Good. So just waking up the spine between those two movements. Good. So Chakravakasana, back and up. And then eventually, if it's comfortable, you can sit up on the heels, or you can sit in a chair as well. You can also continue on the back if that feels good. So we're going to move like we often do in these sequences, first to just sort of feel the neck, shoulders, and back. We can do it from sitting or from standing. But since we sort of did a bit of resting, it's sometimes comfortable to transition slowly from the ground. So now let's come back to a more conscious breath. Inhaling, slowly letting the chest, the belly expand. Exhale, pull the belly in. A little bit of flattening in the lumbar spine. Inhaling. And exhaling. Gentle Ujjayi breath. And just noticing, find the rhythm of your breath. Notice how your breath capacity feels today. Does it feel like the breath opens up easily and expands? Or does it feel like the breath wants to be a little smaller, a little shorter today? And wherever it is your starting point. There's nothing to fix or change. Let that breath capacity guide you in your energy and in your movement. And then very simply, we'll come to this fingertips to the sternum, elbows forward movement. Drop the chin down, maybe just notice if there's some tension, sort of shoulders, behind the neck, behind the upper back. And just a few breaths, inhale, opening. Lift the chin, open the throat. Exhale, drop the chin, fingertips to the sternum, elbows forward. And then find the rhythm, inhaling, moving as quickly as you need to for one movement to follow inhale and one movement to follow exhale. Good. And eventually just a few breaths with the arms open, looking a little bit side to side here. You can rotate one hand, the other, just noticing shoulders, neck, mobilizing, maybe a little crunching, a little popping coming in and out. Noticing where you might feel a little bit stiff or where the movements might feel a little bit open, easy. And Penny, be gentle with the turning of the head. That might not be the best movement for you today, but do it gently and see how it feels. And then shake out. You can stay seated, or if you want to start to lift the energy up a little bit, we can transition to coming to the feet. Noticing now the connection again to the earth. Less stable. Right and left in balance. Let's just sort of open up one side. So feel now right and left. Notice if one side feels a little more restricted or a little heavier than the other side. If there's one side that feels a little bit of resistance, let's start with that side. So for me today, it's the right side. Normally the left side is a bit tighter for me. So I'm going to start with the right side. The other hand, the left hand, I'm going to keep in my belly here, just as a point of reference, a sensation of stability. And then as you feel ready, just sweep the arm all the way up and down. Good. And then go with the energy of your body. If you feel like there's some energy to be lifted and woken up, really reach the hand out and stretch the whole side of the body. And then if that makes you dizzy, uncomfortable, not feeling so great, the movement is a little gentler, almost like you're swimming through the water, like you're feeling with the hand, a little softer, a little more like a sweeping. So same movement, just a different intention. One is a little gentler, focused on just the moving, maybe the sensation in the hand itself. And the other is almost like you're lifting and reaching from one foot to the fingertips. So when we have the energy, the stronger version is useful for sort of lifting and moving and waking up the muscles. And when the energy is lower, that can just be draining and leave us depleted at the end. So after a few times in the first side, we're going to do the second side. When you're ready, switch hands, lift up. And back down. Notice little differences like circulation in the hands from one side to the other. It's one side a little bit warmer, a little bit colder. And in this movement from one side to the other, we can attempt to find some balance and some symmetry. And then eventually let's integrate both sides together, see how it feels. And down. And just notice how your body responds. Maybe you want to lift the heels up a little bit if you want to bring a little more energy in. It can be really interesting when we practice, especially when we've gone through an episode where the body has not been feeling well. And we come into the practice thinking, oh, I really need to be very gentle. And then through the practice, we sometimes recognize there's a strength there that we didn't realize was awake. So just notice if that strength is revealing itself more than you thought, or if your perception of the gentleness of practice was what you need today. And then a few times as you exhale, just bring the hands forward. Imagine as if you're sort of washing the body clean. This is a little bit sort of gathering the qi concept from Qigong. Just bringing the hands to the center of the body. And then eventually we're just going to settle the hands, the low belly, and pause here. And just a gentle movement here. We're going to make a little circle here. Hands moving up on the right, down on the left. Almost like you're Just warming up, waking up the belly. And then just hold the hands for a moment. And then we'll do a little bit of touching the earth. So in whatever way you like, so whatever arm variation feels good, we're just going to bring the hands towards the floor. So inhale, nice and tall, lift up, feel the length of your spine. Exhale, belly down towards the legs, head towards the floor, touching the floor. Touch the earth. And then inhale all the way back up. And the idea here, lengthening the front of the body as we're coming up. And as you move down, lengthening the back side of the body from the heels to the base of the skull. And adding any pause you might need between the movements up and down. Respecting the nervous system, your blood pressure. Good, continue moving. If the position feels good, Uttanasana with the head down, stay there for a few breaths. Otherwise, if you feel like you want to continue moving dynamically, lift, move. If you feel a stuckness in the body, the dynamic movements might feel more useful for you. Good. Excellent. And then when you feel complete with this position, you can come back up. Just notice the body. And then we'll stand with the feet wide apart. Do a gentle side lengthening posture, Utthita Trikonasana. So we'll turn one foot out a bit. And let's just slide the hand down, let the knee be bent. So the one shoulder is above the knee, the other shoulder above that one. And we're just going to inhale, reach. And as you exhale, palm turned up towards the hip and look down towards the foot. Stay here just a moment. Just notice what's happening here behind the ear, the side of the neck, the top of the shoulder, through the arm, elbow, maybe the fingertips. And then we're going to inhale again, lengthening from the hip to the shoulders to the fingertips, and again back. So just continue moving with your breath, the rhythm that supports your body today. Adding whatever pause or hold feels useful, comfortable. That paying attention part of Kriya Yoga. So as we mature in practice, we feel a little bit more comfortable doing things our own way. So do things your own way. No need to watch what I'm doing. Just feeling a sense of balance through the feet, the strength of the legs. And then eventually we're going to come back up. Both feet forward for a moment and just notice the two sides of the body. Let's switch sides. Really simple, hand to the knee. One shoulder over the knee, the other shoulder above that. Inhaling up. Reach, reach, lengthen from that foot. Exhale, palm turns up. Look down towards the foot. Feel a moment, just what's happening here. And then continue moving with your own breath. Inhaling, lengthening the top side. Exhale, lengthening through the neck and shoulders. Again, exploring, staying a little longer in one position or the other. Stay with the breath. Balance in the feet. As you feel ready, you'll come back to the center and we'll move back to the floor. And just choose how you'd like to move from here. We can do Chakravakasana again on the hands and knees, or if you like Vajrasana, the one where we stand, sweep the arms and come all the way down this way. So if this feels comfortable, do this variation. Otherwise, come back to hands and knees. And eventually we can stay in this lower position, a version of childlike posture. We look for a way to make this posture comfortable, but for some people, it's not a comfortable resting posture. So you can rest in this forward folding position. And if it's not restful, just lie on the back. And everybody who's resting in child's pose, just rest for a moment. Feel your back lengthening, shoulders relaxed. A mini rest. And when you're ready to move forward with the sequence, you just come on to lying on your back. Feel the bottoms of the feet on the floor, arms on the floor. We'll just begin with a little bit of Dvipadapitam, the little bridge. So inhale, lifting the spine off the floor, exhale, slowly lowering it down. And choose whatever variation you like with the arms, with the head movement. And again, with this posture as well, feel free to explore in whatever way feels useful. We've done this in many different ways. You don't have to do right through the center of the back. You can come up on the left side or the right side. You can move the arms, turn the head, or just keep it simple. Arms on the floor and just feeling that beautiful articulation of the spine. And then from here, we'll move into a gentle twisting. Can take the feet up, knees close to the body, arms wide. And with each exhale, you'll let the knees slowly come to one side. And each inhale, the knees come back up. And then back to the other side with exhale. And at some point, just stay a little bit longer on one side. Let the knees stay over. And if the energy's there, take some deep breaths in this position. Make sure that the shoulder of the away from the knees feels comfortable. So if this shoulder doesn't easily come to the floor, you don't need to hang your arm out in the air. Just bring the hand a little closer to the hip. Otherwise, if the shoulder is easily open, just take the hand up. And wherever you feel resistance or restriction, imagine you can breathe into that point. You don't have to change or fix it. It's almost like when you feel resistance, you just offer your breath. The highest level of tapas, of mindfulness, is controlling the breath. We take an unconscious physiological action and make it conscious. Notice how you feel the hip, the back, shoulders, neck. And as you feel ready to come to the second side, go ahead and do that. If you feel like you need more time on this side, stay a bit longer. And then see how the second side feels. Again, noticing if there's resistance or restriction, breathing. And again, noticing the state of the body. And as you feel ready, you'll come out of the posture. Maybe the hands on the knees, rocking a little bit side to side, maybe even circles. And then we'll slowly roll over onto one side and sit up. So let's do just a little gentle forward folding. So knees can be as bent as you like. Feet can be further apart if that feels comfortable for the body.
And just come forward. Let the neck be long, the head moving towards the earth. Come into your breath. Sliding up. Sitting with the legs somehow crossed. And if the low back is feeling a bit tight, please take a pillow under the hips so you can sit up comfortably. And then we're just going to twist before we come to a sort of more centered sort of position. So you're going to take a hand on one knee, the other hand somewhere behind you. Whatever props you need to support the hands, the body. Just come into this seated position. Twist the body. And again, any space of resistance, just imagine you can bring your breath to that spot. And as you exhale, imagine you can feel the tension releasing just a bit. Be aware of the head position, choosing a position that supports what's happening in your neck and shoulders. Feel free to experiment to look for a position that might feel more comfortable. And then as you're ready, we'll slowly come to the center for a moment. And we'll get ready to come to the second side. So you take the hand on the opposite knee. As you feel ready, move into the twisting position on the other side. Taking a moment to establish the position for you. And whenever it is you feel like the second side is complete, you can again slowly release. Stay a moment and just feel. And just a gentle counter pose of just coming a little bit forward. Let the head hang forward, the neck be long. Just coming as far forward as the body feels comfortable releasing. Just a symmetrical forward movement with the spine. And as you come back to sitting up, we'll stay in this upright position for a few minutes. So we're going to do a little bit of alternate nostril breathing, balancing the sun and moon side. The autumnal equinox is a great moment to bring attention to tools of yoga that remind us of balance. So we're not going to use the hands. We're just going to use the visualization of the breath moving in and out. So if the nostrils are clear, just take a breath in through both nostrils. And imagine you could visualize the breath, the energy that you breathe in, collecting itself in the point of the third eye. And as you exhale, release through both nostrils. And so here there's no ujjayi contraction in the throat, just feeling the breath move in through the nostrils. Imagine you can hold that energy in this point of the third eye and exhale through both nostrils. And just notice what you feel, inhaling and exhaling. And now we imagine we can choose which side the breath flows in and out of. So this time we'll inhale through both sides, holding this energy at the third eye, and exhaling more through the left nostril than through the right nostril. And don't worry about if it is really happening or not happening. Just use your imagination. Inhaling both nostrils, holding at the third eye. Exhale, right nostril. Inhaling both nostrils, holding at the third eye. Back to the left side. Inhaling both nostrils to the third eye. Exhaling to the right side. Continue this, locking into the rhythm of your own breath. Inhale both nostrils. Hold at the third eye. Exhale one side. Just a few more rounds. And then slowly begin to let go the focus on the flow of the breath. Let the attention soften for a moment. And with the mind in a quieter space, we can come back to some of the contemplations I've been bringing attention to this week. One of the questions that has become part of my practice, especially at times of transition, is to reflect on what is most important. What are my priorities? What do I value the most? And sometimes the answer to that question or those questions is not so clear. And sometimes the answer is very clear. So if you were to ask yourself, what is most important to you in this life at this time? Notice if the answer comes easily or if the answer is less clear. Recognizing this is a question that only you know the answer to. And if you can easily identify what's most important to you, just notice as you move through your day or through your week, what actions do you take in your life to honor what's most important to you? Do our actions support our ideals? Right answer. Just notice how it is. And if there feels like there's a misalignment between our lives and our values, you can ask yourself how that makes you feel. If that is something you can control at this moment. And if there is a way to realign my values with my actions, what would need to happen? And in this practice, we honor the questions and all of the answers that arise, because all of them are nourishment for our spiritual path. This being human is a complex thing, always changing. And once we have it all figured out, the ancient yoga teachers say that's when you really need to pay attention. So as you feel ready, let's bring the palms of the hands together, touching as if for the first time ever, feeling the warmth of the hands, holding the space in front of the heart. In gratitude for this moment, the only moment that exists, for better or for worse. And may this energy I put into watching this process be a gift of peace for all beings everywhere. Lokaha samasta sukhino bhavantu. Thank you.